In this video, we're going to explore how to create an activity similar to the one that you're seeing right now, and how to actually share that with students within Google Classroom. So I've already created this activity, but we're going to go through and dissect it a little bit, and then we'll look at how to actually replicate this so that the students could actually do all of these CVC words down at the bottom here. So for this one, there's a few different elements that we're working with inside of this jam. So the first is the picture. So obviously I searched for a picture. I searched for a picture of a tub so that the students would be able to label this. I then put a square over that so that the students had something that they could put their label on top of. It just makes it a little easier for them. It's not something that you need to do, but then they can see that this is where their label needs to go. I added those labels down at the bottom, and these are all sticky notes. Then over here on the right hand side, I added another sticky note that says write the word. And then finally, I added some lines for them to actually write that word. This is going to work really well for the iPads. Obviously, it would be a little different for the Chromebooks. So maybe instead of saying write the word, I might say type the word for the Chromebooks. So again, we can just make some accommodations depending on the device that your students are actually doing the activity on. So let's look at creating the next one. So I do want to give you this little shortcut before we create the blank activity here. The little shortcut that I want to show you is up at the top in the middle. I can expand where I can actually see my slides. So this would be similar to what would be like on the left-hand side of a slide deck. Let's say that I want this similar activity, except obviously I wouldn't want it to be a tub. I want it to be something else. So I don't want to have to recreate every single part of this. So if I come up here to the top and I expand this, then I click the three dots there, I can actually duplicate this, which makes it really easy if you're going to be creating several of the same type of activity. If you watched our earlier video with the 10 frame or with our number blocks, it would be the same thing. I don't want to have to keep putting the number blocks on there. I want to put them on there once and then just duplicate those. So make your work a little easier. We'll change this one to say, so I'm now on the second slide, I'm going to say instead of write, I'm going to say type the word. And again, that would be for my 2 through 5 students. So I no longer need my tub, and I'm going to put a different picture back here. So I need to find a picture. I can either upload my own image if I want to, or I can do a quick Google image search. So I'm going to do cat. And then my little trick is I usually put clip art behind it so that I don't get a picture of a real cat. I kind of want a picture of a clip art cat. So I'm going to add this picture here. Once it loads in there, I'm going to make it bigger. And I'm also going to click the three dots here, order, and send it to the back. And then maybe I can move my label there as well. So that's where the students are going to be labeling the cat. When the students actually get in here, they'll come up here and they'll, oops, I need to bring those up to the front. So I want to make sure that my labels are all on the front, and I can check all of these activities myself by doing them and then placing that label back where it needs to go. So as I'm adding things to this document, I'll want to first make sure that I add my picture and my label space, and then add all of my labels after that. So now let's create one more for this activity, and then we'll look at a few other options. So I'm going to duplicate again. I get a second cat. I'm going to get rid of this cat, and we'll put in a fox this time. I add my fox in there. This one looks like a good fox. I'll come in the top here. Make it a little bigger, and then we're going to again send it to the back, and we'll move our text box or our answer box there. So it's really easy for us to kind of create activities for the students to independently work on. I also mentioned in the other video that we can create collaborative activities. So I'm going to create a new Jamboard and just show you maybe one way that we could create a collaborative activity. So I'm back in my Google Drive and I'm going to create a blank Jamboard. And I am going to be asking the students to maybe identify some answers or give me even some opinions. So they're really going to be in 4 spaces. So I want to almost make it like I have 4 corners of my room here. I'm going to just easily add lines. It's not going to be a straight line, but so just for this one, I'm going to add 4 spaces. So we've got, that's about a quarter of that. 1, and we'll make this the blue group. And then I'm going to make another one. It's just a little bigger. And we'll make this one the green group. Our next one here, red. And then finally, and students are going to come in here and I want them to indicate, which answer they would choose, or I'm going to put them in groups, and this is how I'm going to display those groups. So I need the students to be able to drag something into these 4 boxes. So if I want it to be anonymous, I can let's create a few different circles. So I could create a circle, and I'm just going to copy and paste it a whole bunch of times, however many students I have, and I'll kind of line them up in the middle. So we're putting students right in the middle, and then I'm going to tell them to grab a circle and put it in the box that goes along with their answer. So these can all be manipulatives for the kids, which makes it just really easy for them to interact in this collaborative space. Maybe I don't want it to be anonymous, or I don't want them to get confused on which circle is theirs. So instead of doing this, let's say I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to get rid of all of my circles. And I'm going to add sticky notes. So we saw this in one of our examples before, but maybe my sticky notes are all orange because I don't have a box that's orange, and I actually put the student numbers in there. So the kids grab their number and they place themselves in a box. This could be, 4 corners, this could be 2 groups, however I want to break those students up. So I have an extra one. So however I want to break those students up, I put them in there, and then they're able to come in here and drag. So obviously with each of these activities, students need different rights to the activity. So let's first talk about this CVC words activity. So we created this activity for the students, and they need their own copy of it. So you can see here, they need to either write the word or type the word, but they're definitely going to need their own copy. So I'm going to go to Classroom. I'm going to open up my sample class, and I'm going to create an assignment for them. This would be very similar to if you're creating, a Google Doc or a slideshow, something that you're going to have, each of the students is going to have their own copy. So I'm going to create a new assignment. I'm going to label it Jamboard August 31st CVC. I'm going to add any instructions here that I need to. I'll click Add, Google Drive. Because I just recently worked on my Jamboard, it should be one of the first things that shows up. And it does. Here's my CVC words. Insert. Students can. Now I want it to actually make a copy for each student. So make a copy for each student. When I'm ready, then I can go ahead and assign. As a reminder, I can always schedule these. If I'd like to assign it to more than one class, I can select that in here. If I want to assign it to only specific students, I'm also able to select their names in here as well. Let's take a look at how we would share this collaborative Jamboard within Classroom as well while we're in here. So I'm also going to add a Google Drive link. It's going to show up in my recent one. I didn't do a great job of labeling it, but I know that it's called Untitled Jam. I'll click Insert, and then in this one, not that students can view the file, which this would be good if I'm going to, maybe we're going to do a morning activity in our Google Meet, then I could have just the students view the file, because I just want them to be able to see what I'm doing, but not necessarily make any changes, and they really don't need their own copy. But in this case, I want it to be collaborative, so I'm going to change it to students can edit the file. Now they have editing rights, and they're good to go. So this is how we share activities from Jamboard into Google Classroom. If you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to our team.